Assalamu alaikum. You are welcome and another episode of Practice IELTS podcast presented by me, myself, Mojahid Abir. And today we are honored to have just not only important guest but also the part of this continuous podcast whose achievements speak louder than words. He's a beneficiary of Practice Holy Lunch and a true inspiration for many of his students. Beside me, our own very director, Azhar Hussain Emon Sir. So, sir, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine with the grace of Allah. What about you, sir?
I'm also fine, especially to have you in this podcast. Also,
The
blessed
pleasure
me.
is mine, sir.
Okay, so fine, sir. So this is going to be a long video, and hopefully, I will find out some of the insightful thoughts from this guy as he achieved 8 in IELTS with an incredible 8.5 in listening and reading, 7.5 in speaking, also a great solid in 7 in writing. So hopefully, I will try to find out all the insightful ideas from him. So, sir, would you please share everything in details?
Okay, so if I start with the listening module, I would say it was really quite easy for me. As some of you already know, I have taken the test for the second time and I already took the test in 2022, and in that test I secured 7.5 in both my listening and reading module. So I already had quite a good experience in terms of both of these modules. So that helped me to secure even a better score this time. So as I already secured 7.5, I had quite good understanding about both of the modules, but the understanding was not enough to secure 8.5 or 9. My target was definitely 9, but I fell short by 0.5. But still, I'm satisfied with the score. And as I have achieved the score, I would like to share some insight, especially about the listening and reading module. If I start talking about the listening module, the best thing that helped me the most was continuous listening. As I'm a big football fan, I often used to listen to many podcasts that were related to football. And everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Real Madrid. So it is really a rare occasion for me to miss any of their match. So whenever I watch a full football match, I just easily get connected with 90 minutes of English, right? Because throughout the match, there are commentators who are speaking in English. So that thing is helping me to create a habit within me. Besides, I also like to watch analyzing videos that are made on football. So these are some of the things that I like and has helped me to secure a good score in the listening module. Not only these things, I also listen to a lot of podcasts, and they have really helped me to get a better understanding of the language, especially in the listening module. Because I believe that anything cannot be done without continuous practice and a good habit. As I was able to create a good habit of listening, there is the main thing that helped me to secure a good score. And now a lot of people might say, then how did you actually practice the questions? Yes, for practicing purposes, I have taken some of the tests from Cambridge books, but they are mainly just to judge my score. They had nothing to do with the skill that I obtained. All of my listening skill was obtained by extra listening that I did to fill up my interest. And if I talk about the reading module, same can be said about this module too, because just like listening, as I have already mentioned, I'm a big football fan. I am used to reading many articles regarding football. So after every match, I like to hear from different people what their opinion is about the match. So when I read about those things, most of them are actually native English speakers. So when they write something, I am able to convey their message and the way they are trying to show their message. So when I'm in touch with their language, it helps me to understand the language in a better way. And one more thing that I would like to say is that I believe if you do something that you like, then it is going to help you make the learning process more easier. Okay, so this is something all of you should follow. If you like something and you are in IELTS, you should try to use the field of your interest as something that can boost your score in listening and reading module. You can search online regarding the topics that you like and try to research about those things. And definitely try to do these things in English. That will not just feel your hunger of learning about the topic, it will also boost your listening and reading skill. Especially listening if you regularly watch videos that you like.
Okay, sir. So still I have two questions regarding listening and reading. So my first question is, how did you manage your attention throughout the actual test? In other words, how did you approach with the 40 questions in reading within the time limit, as many people suffer from it?
Okay, so if I try to be honest with you, I'm not the guy who you can say is a great person in terms of concentration. I often lose my concentration, but during the test, I told myself one thing that I must secure a good score in the listening module in order to fulfill my dream. So, how did I do that? I kept telling myself that I need to focus on specific questions. For example, maybe I am solving question number 5. So I told myself my full focus should be on that particular question. I shouldn't be thinking about what is coming next or what is going to be happening in my reading or writing module. So all of my focus were invested in a particular question, and I had actually solved all of the questions in this method, and this has really helped me to keep my concentration on the booklet, and I was able to secure a good score. Although actually I thought maybe I would be able to get 9. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but still I'm satisfied with what I had.
And what about reading?
And reading, as I have already mentioned, I have a good habit of reading. So it didn't actually take me long time to solve 40 questions. It took me around 55 minutes. So I had 5 minutes left. And in that time, I thought what I should be writing in the writing module. And if I give you some insight regarding reading, it is really hard to solve 40 questions within 1 hour. But if you have a good habit of reading, then it's not going to be tough for you to solve 40 questions because you already have a good understanding of the language. You already know the paragraphs because you already have a habit of reading these paragraphs on a regular basis. So if someone is reading on a regular basis, he or she will be able to understand each and every paragraph in a quicker way. So that is going to help him solve all the questions within the limited time. And another thing that I need to mention is without regular reading, it is impossible to get more than 7 in the reading module because we have seen many of the students fail in this particular module. Why? Because they do not have enough idea about the passages. They often get stuck in words, unfamiliar words. But to be honest, there is not many unfamiliar words in the test. It is just because we are not used to practicing. We are not used to reading. That is the main reason why some of the students feel like they do not know the meaning. But it is not the fact. The fact is they have not actually practiced these things.
So hopefully these insightful suggestions will help us to get a good score in both listening and reading. But if we practice with consistency.
Yeah, definitely. Practice is the key to success.
Apart from these modules, I have some questions on speaking also. So as we have achieved 7.5 in speaking with your clarity and confidence. So my questions are how you manage your confidence in front of the examiner, as many people suffer from it.
Speaking my old nemesis, but fortunately I was able to secure 7.5 in this module. And how did I do that? Before saying that thing, I would like to mention something. People are often confused by hesitation. They feel like if someone is hesitant, then they will not be able to secure a good score. But if you closely look at band register, there is clearly written that even a band 8 test taker who is likely to get 18 IELTS speaking, he also might face some hesitation with content. Like maybe he's thinking about what he should be saying next. So this type of mistakes are not actually seen as a major mistake in IELTS speaking. So that is basically true that you might take sometimes a little bit pause, but that shouldn't be too much long. So if I give you an example, maybe a candidate got stuck in between he's speaking and he was stuck for 5 to 10 seconds, there is going to be a major problem. But on the other hand, there is another test taker who just like took a pause for 1 second. There is not going to be a big issue. Why? Because taking a pause for a second is not something that is going to hamper your overall fluency. Because as I have already mentioned, it is clearly written on the band descriptor. Student with an ability of getting 8 in the speaking module, especially in fluency and coherence, they might sometimes take pause just to think about the content they are going to say. So I hope I have been able to clear the confusion. And if I talk about my speaking, I was able to secure 7.5, but to be honest, I expected 8 in this module. But due to my problem regarding pronunciation, I was not able to do so. But inshallah, if I can make my pronunciation better, maybe next time I can aim for 8 or 8.5. Let's see what happens.
Okay, sir. So another question is that what about the collocation, and is it necessary to use idioms and phrases in the speaking?
Idioms and phrases. They are a lifesaver, I would say, because I have used like 3 or 4 idioms throughout my speaking. And again, if you closely look at the band descriptor, if you look from 4 to 5 or 6 range, you will see that there is no mention of idioms or idiomatic language. But if you go to higher levels of speaking band descriptor like 7, 8, 9, you can clearly see that there is clearly written a testicle must use some contents of idiomatic languages in order to speak. So how will this help them? Because when you use idiomatic languages, that means you have a range of vocabs or a range of resources within you that you can use to speak about variety of topics. So whenever someone is using idioms or idiomatic languages, it will help him or her to boost his overall score and reach to 7 or 8 in the speaking test.
So overall, that means we should adopt the marking criteria with better understanding.
Definitely. Everything is actually written in the marking criteria. But unfortunately, most of the students do not follow marking criteria.
Okay, sir. So what kinds of books should we follow, like marker or other kinds of books? Does it really matter to follow this?
Okay, so I would say marker is somehow important in speaking, especially for part 2. You know, everyone knows that most of the topics that can be found in the actual exam are actually from the marker book, especially part 2. So if you practice part 2 from marker, there is a high possibility you might get your topic common in the main exam. But if I talk about the answers that are given in marker book, I would say they should not be followed at a like they are the actual answers, because the language that are given on marker books are too hard for students to follow, because most of the students who follow marker books are on the level of 5 to 6. So when they try to use the language given by a band 9 examiner or band 9 expert, IELTS expert, it is not going to be suitable, because a student with a level of 5 or 6 using band 9 words is not going to secure a good score. Rather, one should try to be natural, and just by being natural, it is possible to secure 6, 6.5.
Okay, fine, sir. So as we know one thing, that getting a 7 in writing is not a piece of cake, obviously. So sir, my question is that as you did it and your writing score was 7, so what would you say regarding writing? How you manage this score, and are you satisfied with this?
Well, I was actually expecting a bit more from this particular module, as I have been taking classes in this module for the last 2 years continuously. So I was hoping at least I would be able to secure 7.5 in the final exam, but that didn't happen. Yet I'm happy with what I have. And 7 is not by any means a best score in writing, because I had seen many students posting about their score on different social media platforms, and maybe they have been able to secure 8 or 8.5 overall, but their writing score was 6 or 6.5. So I would say it was really a great and best moment for me, as I have been able to secure 7 in this module. But in order to do so, there are many things a student must follow. First of all, a student must have a good understanding of the question, because most of the students do not understand the question and they give irrelevant answer. Maybe they are good writer, maybe they have good grammatical range and accuracy. But if they do not understand the question, whatever they are writing, it is not going to matter as they will not be able to get more than 5.5. So I will say try to understand the question, and one more thing, practice. Without practicing regularly, it is not possible to secure a good score in writing. So how should a test taker practice? Definitely he should be taking help from online resources. I'm going to mention a few online resources where they can practice from. If students search online, they can easily find a number of examples or samples written by IELTS experts on British Council, IDP, or many other IELTS experts website, and they can be really valuable or helpful for the students to get a good insight and to get an idea of how a good writing should be written. So I would say explore the internet, and definitely you will be able to find some amazing resources which can help you to secure your desired score.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your precious ideas. But this is not going to end anymore.
I know
I
that.
have some questions. So, sir, my first question is that what kinds of resources have you used during your preparation time?
Well, to be honest, I have used the most special resource that I'm going to mention today.
Sir,
And
it would be better if you show it.
before showing it, I would like to say that this is really precious because without this material, it is impossible to crack IELTS. And most of you are actually already familiar with it, and it is none other than Cambridge. So why should one only focus on Cambridge? Sir, can I ask you a question?
Obviously, sir.
So who makes the test papers for the main exam?
Obviously, Cambridge University.
Who is the author of this amazing book?
Obviously, Cambridge authorities.
Okay, so the main exams questions are made by Cambridge authorities. And also we know that Cambridge books are also made by Cambridge University authorities. So don't you think it is going to be better if we practice from the same varsity materials rather than looking for a bunch of materials online? What is your take on this?
I would definitely take Cambridge, but
Yes.
with better understanding.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to briefly explain the point that Abir sir made. So how should one practice Cambridge? Should they just blindly take test after test? Not at all. Practice should be done in a precise manner. Especially, for example, maybe you have taken a reading test and you are able to secure 25 out of 40. That means you have not been able to correctly answer 15 of the 40 questions, right? So what is your task? Should you be giving another test by skipping the test you have just given? This is going to be a suicidal decision because I believe giving test is not as important as analyzing the wrong answers you have given. Because when you analyze a wrong answer, you actually get a good insight of how an answer is given. Maybe I was not able to correctly give answers to 15 of the questions. When I try to analyze all of these wrong answers, I will be able to find out the correct answers and how the correct answers are given. So that is going to automatically put ideas on my brain, and I will be able to use that ideas without having consciously, without like we have subconscious mind, right? So we will be able to use that idea when we are solving any other question. So I would say analyzing is really important. Rather than giving test after test, one should definitely focus on analyzing the questions, the wrong answers they have given in their test.
Okay, sir. So we can directly say that we should stop giving test without analyzing.
Yeah, definitely. A test should be given in a manner that just promise to yourself when you're giving a test, after taking the test, after giving the test, you will try to analyze all the wrong answers you have given.
So don't try to destroy your great resources just by giving test. Rather, you should just analyze all the questions the way you are solving. My another question is that we often hear one thing that the speaking test is going to be a 20 minutes, 25 minutes. In other words, people often claim that listening test was quite faster. So is it true?
Okay, so I have to answer this question with a Bengali proverb that just came in my mind. There is a proverb, famous proverb in Bengali that says, "Naste na janle uthan baka." So the same thing can be said about this kind of claims. Most of these claims are made by students who are only able to secure 4.5, 5, or maybe in some cases 5.5 in the main exam. So they sometimes make false accusation that their test took longer than usual, they have taken the test for 20 or 30 minutes. But if you think logically, is it really possible? Because I don't think so. Because as far as I know, every candidates are given a certain time, and the examiner has to finish all the exams within that time. Otherwise, he or she will not be able to meet the demand of his schedule, right? So there is no way someone is going to spend 30 minutes on a single candidate. And I do not think that there is any evidence of such thing. And there is another claim that one of the students, not actually just one of my students, many of the students nowadays claim that the listening is faster than usual. They have a common claim, that is, the listening are set on 1.25 speed. But is it really true? That is not true at all. Because as we know, the listening test can take up to 25 to 35 minutes. And if we add up the transferring time, that might take approximately 40 minutes. So maybe in some of the tests, the track is about 25 minutes. Maybe in some of the test lasts for about 28 minutes. If I'm talking about the track actually. So that does not mean actually they have set the speed on a higher speed. That is just people's assumption, and these assumptions are made based on their performance. Most of the students get nervous in the listening module because we know that the first module that is taken in a test is listening module. So in that time, a lot of students are nervous, and when you are nervous, your time is going to run like Usain Bolt. So that is a common thing that might happen to a lot of students. And from my experience, as I have taken the test 2 times, I don't think that there is any speed related issue in the main exam.
So another myth often we hear from the student that listening is easier with the GT test.
Well, is there any evidence to this?
Never.
Okay, so why would Cambridge make listening easier for the GT candidates?
Yeah,
Because as far as I know, if you actually look at the Cambridge books, maybe you have a book for the candidates who are going to take GT and a book for academic students. If you look at the listening question, is there any difference?
No.
There are same questions. So it is totally a false assumptions that are on many people's mind, and we shouldn't be thinking like this. Exam can be easy if I have the skill, and if I am not equipped with enough skill, the exam is definitely going to be tough for me. So everything depends on one's skill and mindset.
Okay, sir. So the another question is, what would you say about our environment? We are sitting for making the videos podcast in the mock room. So what is the differences between two?
Okay, so I have to make a bold statement. People of Hobigans have no idea how lucky they are because they are able to take their mock test in such a great environment. And this kind of environment cannot be found anywhere in Hobigans. Not only in Hobigans, I have seen many of the coaching centers in Sylhet, and not many of them can offer such environment. And when you take a mock test in this kind of environment, it actually helps you to cope up with the main exam because the invisitors as well as the questions and everything that is done here has a standard of its own. So when you give a standard test, you already get a good idea how your main exam might happen. So I would suggest everyone to take at least 2 mock tests in practice Hobigans before taking their final exam, as I believe that can help them to boost their confidence, and especially the feedbacks that are provided by practice teachers are truly amazing. Maybe some of you are thinking I'm pumping, but that is not the case actually. I think Abir sir can also agree with me because if we give 6 to a candidate for his writing, he is not going to get more than 6.5. There might be a difference of 0.5, and that is quite common, right? Because there is a we cannot be always what can I say? We cannot be always perfectly right for everything.
Okay, so I would also like to emphasize the Emon Sir's statement, the way he has given his ideas regarding our mock test. Guys, you won't be dissatisfied after taking mock test in practice advance. So don't forget to register your name before sitting for the main exam. So sir, last but not the least, do you think that an achieving 8 in IELTS makes someone a good teacher?
Well, if I have to share my take on this, I would say IELTS score has nothing to do with teaching. If I give my examples, I didn't have 8 like 4 or 5 days ago. But was I a bad teacher? I would leave that question to my students. So school is a good thing, definitely. It may help you to have better confidence in your ability. But with a good school, someone cannot become a good teacher. But nowadays, we often see that people claiming they take best classes, they are good teachers just because they have 8. I can assure you, 8 has nothing to do with teaching. For teaching, a person needs a lot of qualities. Like he needs to be disciplined, he needs to have good understanding of the modules he is trying to teach his learners, as well as a good understanding of students' mentality. Like if you go to a class and you have 30 students, if you do not know the difference of who are actually understanding your lesson better and who are not actually able to understand anything, you need to difference them and you need to make a plan for everyone. Apart from that, a teacher must have a quality to make his topic understandable to everyone. So these are the qualities that are more important than a good score.
Okay, so in other words, I would like to mention one thing that Emon Sir and Sagar Sir have done their teaching courses from the British Council, and this kinds of materials we follow often, regularly in our classes. You may again identify these things from our students. So after all, thank you, sir, for your great conversation, and hopefully everyone will enjoy it. And in the next time, I would like to talk with you guys in this seat, and this continuous podcast will be running for a longer period of time. You guys are the next. Do the comments below.
Best of luck.